Today's episode is brought to you by Amio. Amio is a travel booking platform that makes planning a journey in Europe and North America effortless. Just enter your travel details and Amio will magically give you all the train, bus, flight, and ferry options for your journey. It's never been simpler to book your first real vacation for 2021. Best of all, using Amio saves you time, money, and that's a winner in our books. Amio wants to help you leave your house this summer by offering 5% off your next booking. Just head to amio.com and use the code AMIO5 at checkout, valid until July 31st for new users on all modes of transportation. It's just the pick-me-up 2021 needs. Amio, plan, book, love the journey. Okay. Welcome to West Virginia Commonplace. Today I have with me Kendra, but there's a secret about Kendra that a lot of people don't know, and then another group of people do know. Kendra goes along with a cup of coffee, and this cup of coffee takes her to different places, different people. But over this cup of coffee, you're gonna get a lot out of Kendra. So, Kendra, can you please tell the audience who you are and what you do and the name of your podcast?
Yes, guys, I am Kendra. I am the host of Coffee with Kendra.
Okay, now what's the concept behind that?
So the concept behind that is I didn't really have one when I started, but I did start focusing a lot on relationships and dating. So the hopes now is to bridge the gap between men and women so that we can start relationships, stay in relationships, and hopefully shorten that divorce rate.
Yeah, so a lot of maintaining and different things like that. Now,
yeah,
you are part of a collective though, and this collective is kind of like age demographics are different, so I'll say it's kind of like y'all are like New Edition. That's how I put y'all in the thing. in this group of New Edition, one of y'all's the Bobby Brown, one of y'all's the Johnny Gill, and one of y'all's a Ralph Travance.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna say which one is which, but that's the best group I can use because each one of them three, because Bill Biv DeVoe, they had to go on a three route to be good. But out of three, y'all got three superstars in a group, and it's kind of hard because sometimes y'all overshadow each other. Your crew, we'll talk about them in just a minute. Y'all are so far out here on Instagram Live that you have to actually pick and choose when you watch you guys because y'all are everywhere. Like I looked at something and like your crew and even y'all doing like 3 and 4 different shows and all this other stuff that's going on.
Yes.
So not to take away from your podcast, but real quick, let's talk about your group, Grown Man Logic.
Yes. Shout out to Grown Man Logic. So Grown Man Logic, I'm so glad you asked me about that because I don't get to talk about this that often because it's still really new, right? We barely hitting 2 months.
Okay.
Barely, right? So Grown Man Logic is a podcast that was built upon established podcasters already. So we have Carla. Carla has been in the game, I think, for 4 years.
Okay.
Eric has been in the game for I think he's coming up on a year.
Yeah.
I have been in the game for 6 months.
Okay.
And Dewan is the only person that's like a fresh podcaster, right? And the way that came about was a complete accident. We didn't know it was going to be a thing. I didn't know it was going to be a thing. Did you talk to them about how we came together, or am I giving a story again?
Or go ahead and we didn't even get into that because
okay, good.
You know how
okay.
Eric is. He a little selfish on the low. He was doing his thing.
Okay. I don't want to give you the same story over and over again, right? So basically Carla was the mastermind of this.
Okay.
So we had kind of briefly met each other through podcasting already, right? So I had already knew Carla through my Instagram, and I did a show with Carla, which she wanted me to do a show with her on her podcast. She blows it, and Eric's from the Uncomfortable Conversation. So then I met Eric through her. And then I think she did another episode with just her and Dewan on her podcast. And then Eric and Carla did another, Eric and Carla did another podcast, and that's where I met Dewan. This podcast had he never released it because he had issues with like the audio and stuff, right? But this
Yeah.
podcast had about 6 of us on a panel, right? And
Oh
Dewan was
wow.
one of Dewan was one of the guys on there. So that's where I met Dewan. So after that, we all kind of like followed each other on Instagram. So we had like already like had an idea of each other's personalities. Eric also had during this time, Eric also came on my podcast and did a Coffee with Kendra episode that hasn't been released yet. But so we all knew each other. And so one day I had already started. I don't know if you've been watching Coffee with Kendra live on
Yes.
Saturdays. Okay.
No, I
So
caught it this week.
okay. Okay.
About the
So
dick
I
pics.
started. Okay. Yeah. Nice. So I started Coffee with Kendra live, and I started Coffee with Kendra live, and Carla had been hitting me up like, I love what you're doing. I need to get more comfortable like going live. And she was asking me like, do you think you will be available on Thursday at this time? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. But I didn't know she had talked to Dewan about going live on Thursday too. So I kind of didn't know that we were going to be together. So then like after she was like, can I, she confirmed that I was going to be available that Thursday. Then next thing I know, I'm in the group chat with all 4 of them, and they like, yeah, so we all going live on Thursday. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know this was like a group thing. Like I didn't know, but yeah, I'm still down. I'm down. And we went live that Thursday, and then we got off live, and they was like, yeah, this is can y'all do this every Thursday? Like this is a thing. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, right. And we had a great time that first episode. We had great engagement with the audience. And we was like, yeah, this is a thing. This is a thing.
Yeah.
So that's how Grown Man Logic actually came about.
Okay. Now, inside this group, like you got a professional wrestler, heavyweight lifting. Like he's too much. Like he's two of me. Like I feel like I'm a subcompact when it comes to dudes now, as big as he is. So Dewan has his big personality. Eric's got a personality. He's kind of like James Bond, ladies man, and your personality.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how everyone got established with me is Podcastagram. Speak no ill
Yes.
will, good or anything. We'll just leave it at this to be real flat on that because some people are still touchy about that subject.
Yeah.
He brought the masses together. He bridged the gap between East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. Even though your crew is West Coast and East Coast. Well,
Mm-hmm.
technically, Eric's in the Midwest because we don't count Cleveland. It's not on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But so y'all have coast together. So and I'm on the East Coast. So everybody
Mm-hmm.
like met each other, and we started hearing each other's podcasts. And me, no offense to anybody that's involved in this, I got knocked out the first round. So, I have a group that's with me, and I didn't listen to necessarily everybody's, but when I was told about certain podcasts, I went in and listened to them because I was like, yo, listen, homie, I need you to listen to these podcasts. I ain't gonna act like I'm listening to them, but I want to know about this one. So
Yeah.
your podcast came up. And then Grown Man Logic came up because Grown Man Logic, it seemed like it was packaged together as you all as a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, my homie did a little investigating, got the podcast, listened to it, and I was like, this is the Bobby Brown. So we didn't throw it out the Bobby Brown. I'm like, everybody else has an entertainment factor, but I'm like, here's the Bobby Brown. If the group breaks up, you gonna have platinum albums, and they gonna do some gold and platinum, but they gonna have to have you on the
Wait,
hook
are you
though.
saying I'm Bobby Brown?
You the Bobby Brown out the group.
I'm flattered.
And I ain't gonna say who Johnny Gill is and Ralph Travance, but
Okay.
if we're going by standards, Bobby Brown has the records. He has the better
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
And he did his thing, but he did it in a limited time. So I don't know. Hopefully you spent a long time with this. So getting into your podcast, with doing these live podcasts, how does that affect you when you go to actually record an episode, or do you take the live podcast and use it for your podcast?
Great question. So I when I started podcasting, I had already had like another business that I was working on. I didn't even realize that a podcast was a business, right? So I'm thinking, I'm just gonna podcast for fun, whatever. So I was already busy, like, and I was already busy. So when I decided to be a podcaster, I was like, I talked to everybody, everybody that I had on the show and got advice from them. And something that I noticed is that most podcasters were shooting their episodes maybe a week or 2 weeks in advance, and I was like, I can't commit to shooting the episode every week. I can't. Like my schedule doesn't permit for it, right?
Right.
So I took January and I recorded almost every day in January, and my season has been recorded since I think I took a couple more people by the first week of February, but my podcast has been recorded since January, and so now I just edit and release my episodes.
And see that right there. Hold on, I want to stop you. That is one of
Mm-hmm.
those podcasting tips that you got to give people. Because I tell them, let me tell you how bad my lock stash is. I got podcasts from 2020 that ain't. I'm talking like
Mm,
August of 2020 that ain't even seen the light
mm,
of day. They already in
mm.
my season 6. My show. What I'm doing right now, when I'm doing this extra, these are to put bonus episodes to get some exposure out there and to get some people together. Because we might do a super conglomerate podcast at some point. So
Yeah.
that's one tip on the inside right there that I like that you're giving the podcasters, because I honestly am a firm believer in getting the stock ready, because you can promote it, you can advertise it. Because I advertise, I got this thing called the Facebook Business Suite. I ain't even on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. Anytime that stuff just pulls up
Mm-hmm.
or my posting stories, that's because I done did this stuff on Sunday and it's coming out at 11:32 on Thursday.
Mm.
I ain't on there like
Okay.
that. Ain't got time for that.
Okay. Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
appreciate that. So now doing your podcast, so you got them on Lockstash. How do you? Because like I said, with the podcast class, we want to get everybody's aspect of podcasting, because the way I podcast might not be the way someone wants a podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
they hear it
Mm-hmm.
from you. It's a different take on it. So how do you pick which episode comes out and what time? Do you look at your insights or trends, or you just got a feel for certain podcasts you like? This one will do good. This one I need to see what we're gonna do with it, or I might not use it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the ones you don't want to use, huh? But yeah, so it kind of just depends. What I tried to do originally is I tried to shoot because like my most of my season I have guests, so I tried to go by what guests I shot with first, to get them out of the way, like try to follow that
Yeah.
organization. But then sometimes a topic might come up that I've recorded about, like that, like it might be like trending on across Instagram that week, and then I go boom, I'm gonna pull this episode, I'll use it for this week. But it just goes, or if it's something that, like I said, I have Coffee with Kendra live too. So if it's something that kind of feeds into that what I'm doing, then I'll drop that episode on Friday, then I'll go live on Saturday. So I don't use any type of analytics. I don't ask, like, I don't
Oh
like ask
snap!
anybody or anything. I just drop them.
Oh, so see, I like that, because see, I always tell everybody, and I had to learn this the hard way. Not everybody's gonna be as technical as I am, because I got the numbers, everything. I'm looking at what looks good. Heck, I even take certain colors and put them on. And it's not that I'm a facade, because I done went and obviously bought the clothes, but it's a certain
Mm-hmm.
image I got to put out there, because I'm like, at this time of year, these people are gonna do a little bit more. So that's how I do
Mm-hmm.
that. Now,
Yeah.
let me
Mm-hmm.
ask you this: what was the first mistake you made in podcasting?
Oh my God. The first mistake I made of podcasting is just letting everybody come on my podcast. Like I was literally like, who wants to be on my podcast? And then I got an overwhelming amount of people. I thought, listen, I really thought like I'm nobody. I'm a new podcaster. Who the fuck wants to be on my podcast? Right. So I thought I wouldn't even get that many people. But I got so many people that I ended up not having any podcast by myself. And I didn't realize that I think I kind of thought because everyone else, like most people have guests, I thought you kind of have to do that. So I think the biggest mistake is just letting everybody come on my podcast and not vetting them out before they got on my podcast. And something else I learned is that some people have a personality on their podcast and then they come to your podcast and they like, and you like, okay, where was your personality that I like?
And that
Like
is so true.
yeah, it's like I need that. That's why I want you here. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I've made so far.
Okay, and podcasters need that, and that's one thing I say. Like, you got to have certain episodes, and when we talk about intimacy, it's not the sexual; it's just like the the
Yes.
the audience to you,
Yeah.
and that's why like I have a series called the Love Series. Like, so I'll do random podcasts, and I'll grab a few people for different episodes, and I haven't released every single one, but I'll
Mhm.
advertise it so people know that the Love
Mhm.
Series is still around, and then I do another one that builds off that, because like I said, where I'm in this other category of podcasts, to have my wild and outlandish episode, I had to build a series called Controversy Sells. So on Saturday
Mhm.
nights, if I get a hard topic, and none of my stuff's live, everything's recorded. I just got live from y'all. The only reason that I stayed away from live is because the one thing that happened to me when I went live one time, the whole crew wants to join in. And so many people, like, because if you're in that whole podcastagram realm and you know exactly what I'm talking about, you'll be
Mhm.
on the thing. And I've done it to y'all before. I tried to join in and Devon
Mhm.
rejected me, and then I was like, man,
Mhm.
I'll just put you on the iPad and you can sit right here. I'm gonna watch Coffee with Kendra or whatever's going on. Like one day, what was it? Dale P had something going on. Y'all had something going on. And I was so
Mm-hmm.
conflicted. I was like, man, I got both devices and the computer. So I'll put them both on here.
Yeah.
And I listened. I had two headphones in. I was going crazy with it. And
We appreciate you, by the way. Thank you for
oh
that.
yeah, always, because you don't want nobody to lose viewership. And the thing is that you can still listen to both topics. You can't reply to nothing because if you start replying, you're gonna miss out on one.
Yeah.
And y'all got to get a little coalition together and decide on who's gonna be on at this time, because y'all can't keep doing this Thursday at 8 o'clock. Because some people on the East Coast or whatever time y'all get on when Grey's Anatomy's on TV and all these other TV shows. Y'all
Yeah.
get on right in the prime time, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying that in general. But back to the
No.
podcasting part of the business.
Yeah.
So what podcasts are you listening to right now?
So um I don't know if everybody knows this yet, but like I'm really not a podcast listener, like
Ooh,
So
snap!
I tend to like I'm not saying I don't listen to any podcast, but it's hard for me to like it's hard to get my attention to want to listen to your podcast. So
Today's episode is brought to you by Amio. Amio is a travel booking platform that makes planning a journey in Europe and North America effortless. Just enter your travel details and Amio will magically give you all the train, bus, flight, and ferry options for your journey. It's never been simpler to book your first real vacation for 2021. Best of all, using Amio saves you time, money, and that's a winner in our books. Amio wants to help you leave your house this summer by offering 5% off your next booking. Just head to amio.com and use the code AMIO5 at checkout, valid until July 31st for new users on all modes of transportation. It's just the pick me up 2021 needs. Amio, plan, book, love the journey.
So what's helpful for me is people who have visuals. I'll go on your YouTube and I'll watch your thing. So I'll play it and I'll like be cleaning up, or like maybe I'm planning while I'm editing an episode or something. I'll do that. But it's hard to get me to listen to podcasts. So the podcast that I do listen to though, I do listen to Lamp. I think he does some really good interviews.
Okay.
I listen to who else do I listen to?
I kind of put you on the spot.
You definitely did. I definitely listen to my team now because we like not only are we a podcast like group as together, but like we're like really good like friends. Like we've started a really good bond together. So like I will like be like, hey, listen to this. Let me know what you think before I drop it. So I'll listen to Eric at the Uncomfortable Conversation. I listen to She Blows It. The one I don't listen to him because his podcast is our podcast together. But I do go back and rewatch our episodes and I could critique them. I'm like, listen, this is what we can do. I really do that. So I'll rewatch that. But damn, I listen to Too Much Game. I listen to him,
Yes.
and I usually, and then again, he's visual, so I usually copy him with his live, and I'll engage with him. I
Yeah.
watch that.
And see, that's one thing about him. We ain't gonna touch too much on him because I gotta get him on a big group thing at some point. Man, listening to his podcast out of everybody's, his was one I had to pick up, and I had to be careful because at first, he was against y'all in the thing, and I listened to his
Yeah.
podcast, and I was like, man, it's all right, but it's like it's real, but it wasn't. Y'all were my cup of tea, so I was like, I got to hold off on him. So, through the competition and everything, I listened to him. Then I was like, this man drops gems every day. I said, I'm wondering to myself in the background, is somebody is he writing a script and got it on the teleprompter or something in the background? But it's just all off the dome.
And I just have to say this because I just absolutely love him. I think he is so underrated. Like I really do feel like he's so underrated.
Right.
And the authenticity, it's almost like when you listen to his podcast, it's like you sitting down talking to the homie, like the big
And
homie.
it's just something,
That's how I feel when I listen to him.
and the stuff that he spends, like I catch his live videos because like with my type of job, I got time to do anything anytime. So I just check up on him and I'm
Yeah.
listening, and he was saying something about the Floyd Mayweather fight, and it was just the way his commentary is, the way he
Yes.
delivers, and that's the same thing about you with your delivery. Going back to you, so we can spend something on you real quick.
Thank you.
Your delivery is what keeps your audience enticed, and that's something that you can't teach. Ain't nothing you can buy, and that's something that you don't never know until someone tells you. And see, the thing is, with you being in a super group, sometimes y'all overshadow each other. See, that would be hard for me because I got an ego, and I ain't gotta be the superstar, but I'm Bobby Brown, but I'm Ralph Traviance on the low. I'm gonna make some hits, but they gonna be around y'all. And with that
Yeah.
personality, does that ever conflict with you guys?
Well, it hasn't so far, and I think that, hopefully it doesn't. Like, as long as like we try to keep that like mutual respect within each other. Because even sometimes like the guys sometimes get really hot, at each other, and we like, hey, y'all chill. Like, listen, our episodes are live, so we
Oh
like,
yeah,
hey, Dewan, chill. Like,
yeah, because he's got a
like
lot of
you guys gotta
testosterone and
chill.
stuff.
Yes,
Lifting two hundred
yes.
thousand pounds.
Yes, yes. And then even me and Carla go at it sometimes, but me and Carla don't never get hot. Like, I think me and Carla, have that good mutual respect and like towards each other. So it's like we're pretty good about, I think overall we're pretty good about agreeing to disagree. And I don't at least I don't know just yet that I feel like anybody's overshadowing the other person just yet, because I haven't heard anyone come to me yet. But what I will say is that, I have had people that, like, some people were, and this is what worked for the group so well, is like
Okay.
my fans, and I don't even want to say fan, but my supporters, they were willing to give Grown Man Logic a try because of me. It's like, I already like
Right.
you, so if you're there, I'll listen, and vice versa for all of their fans too. So I guess to answer that question, I don't know yet. I don't think we're experiencing it just yet, and I just hope we don't.
I hope you don't either. Now, so you've done all this in podcasting. So now we're gonna go to the advice portion of this, because the thing is with these podcasts, we always want to give back to the podcast community, because there's some podcasters out here, and this is something that I deal with on the business side. A lot of podcasts fade. People had this hot streak, and it lasts 18 months. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
People try to say it's 6 months, 9 months. No, at the 18-month mark, people burn out.
Mm-hmm.
Pod fade.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you going to do to avoid pod fade? Because here's the thing: right now, everything's fun and very trendy, but it
Mm-hmm.
gets to a point like it becomes a factory, and that's what happened to me with doing so many episodes. I ain't going in front. I sat there, and the guest was just coming to me, and then certain ways they come to you when it gets to a monetizing category. If it's for the money, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
I gotta treat it. I am gonna treat it like
Yeah.
a robot. Now, when
Okay.
it's just for the fun and just we laughing and stuff, I ain't gonna be so critical of it. I won't be like, let's do what we gotta do. So how are you gonna keep yourself from pod fading?
So this is how I do it, because I feel like I get there often. And this is some advice that I got from and regardless of where our relationship is now, but Ken from Bet the House podcast,
Okay.
one of the advice that he gave to me during podcasting, and he said, Kendra, you got to move how you want to move. Don't let nobody tell you, when you got to drop your episodes, or, if you know what I'm saying? Like, move how you need to move, and don't feel under pressure to, show up every single day or whatever it is. He said something along those lines, and it really stuck with me, because that's how I am in real life. I move how Kendra want to move. So here's my thing. I started podcasting in January. In about February, actually the end of February, early in March, I had other things going on in my life, and podcasting is just not a priority. It's just not, right? So I just left. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I didn't think, like, you got to keep in mind, like, even now, like, I'm really barely coming to terms that I have people who like my shit. Like, when I
Right.
first started, I was just like, ain't nobody thinking about me. I don't have time for podcasting right now, so I just won't. And I was gone for about a month. I was just, handling my real life business. And I, was this is when it started hitting me that people really liked me, is that when I would check in ever so often. I would just check my DMs, and people would be like, Kendra, when you coming back? We missed you. Like, when you gonna drop another episode? And this, and this. And I'm like, y'all thinking about me? Like, I really thought nobody cared. So, so for me, and I've taken maybe 2 other breaks since then. So to prevent myself from what is it called?
Pod
Pod fad,
fading.
pod
Pod
fading,
fading, yeah.
is I exactly move how the fuck Kendra wants to move. If I don't want to drop an episode or edit or do anything for that week, 2 weeks, I just don't do it. If I need to take a step back from Instagram because I don't want to see or be involved in social media, I just do it. And I come back when I come back. I don't owe and this is not to be rude to anybody or anything, but like I don't owe anybody anything. And since I'm not being paid, right? I'm not like nobody got me under a contract to pay me every Friday when I've dropped my podcast. I'm
Right.
not obligated to drop that podcast. So I really take my breaks whenever I need to. And I do feel guilty about it sometimes, but I know that if I don't take care of myself, I can't give y'all this Kendra that y'all like. You know, if I'm depressed or if I'm going through something or if I'm tired of podcasting, I can't be that person. So I just take care of myself. So my advice is to take care of you and you first.
Okay, and I appreciate that because a lot of people don't. I got these people out here that they on some crazy schedules and like with the whole Instagram thing and Facebook and stuff. And I tell people, I'm like, man, I dedicate each day maybe an hour at the most, and that's spread. That's an hour chopped up. I don't get
Mm-hmm.
on there at 7 a.m. whatever. I might get on
Mm-hmm.
at 8 o'clock, sit there till 8:15 between the
Mm-hmm.
coffee and the orange juice, and scroll. And I might check at lunch, and then in the evening I'm gonna give it a stroll. Now if ain't nothing on TV, yeah, I'm on that thing like this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that you take a stride. Now, what's something that you would do different? Because we don't say mistakes. We don't say that we're gonna, we never say anything about a mistake. If you could do something like just change something or do something just a little different than what you did when you started, what would that be?
I would, let me see if I can do something different from when I first started. What would it
Yes.
be? I would have did more, me personally, because I didn't get to, I would have did more episodes by myself. um I think that something that I've learned, at least this is what my take on it. I believe a lot of people can't hold a podcast on their own, and that's why they have guests all the time. And did you have something?
No. I was listening. I was
Oh, okay.
listening. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. So I think that's why, and not. So I think that's why some people have so many guests, but some people were just, it's good advertisement for both of you guys, and it's good to like. I like to have people that play off my personality. We
Okay.
get a good conversation going. But I'm like, after starting my podcast, I realized my episodes that I do by myself, they do better numbers than my episodes when I have guests.
And that's so
So,
crazy. And that's the truth.
right?
Let me tell you a little trick I do. So I'll be out in the cut. I'm in the car because I drive miles to places. I got to be in Boston. That's 12 hours from me. I drive it. I don't care. I will hit the voice memo. It don't matter what kind of phone you got. Every phone's got a voice recorder on it. I will sit there and I will do a 6 minute episode just talking about podcast pressures.
Yeah,
This, and
me
that.
too. Me
I,
too.
I know I'm gonna have to edit the audio because the phone ain't gonna make it sound right. So I
Yeah.
get that. So I will put that somewhere until I get 12 minutes worth of a show. Once I hit 15 minutes, I know I'm golden because as long as you're doing a 15-minute show, you good to go.
Is it really? And see, so my episodes come from like, I'm like, I can't like plan out like on Fridays I'm going to record an episode, right? All of my episodes I've done on my own is because I saw something. I was like, oh no, I got something to say about this, and I just grab my bike or my phone and I just talk. And it doesn't matter if it's 6 minutes or if it's an hour. I just talk, and that's an episode. That's how I record my single episodes. Like I have to be triggered to want to talk about it.
Right. And see, that's good. See, that's a good thing there because that right there, that's that raw emotion. You can't train it, you can't tame it.
That's what I mean right there.
Yeah, you
Yes.
just got to get it out there. And see, that's
Yes.
something good that other podcasters should do because, like I said, I listen to it's one podcast. I ain't gonna say their name or nothing. I like them, but they straight form. Everything they do is robotic. It's like having an
I
Android
know what
phone.
you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, nah. I mean, have fun. I mean, your voice needs to change. It needs to be some octaves. We need to hear who
Yeah.
you
It's
are. Yeah,
almost like you just like you reading the scripts. Like, and that's it right there. Like I need to be able to connect with you. Like I need to feel like how you feeling about what it is that you're saying in order to keep me like, into it.
yeah, and see that's the thing there. Now, tell everybody where they can catch you on Instagram and everywhere else, so we can plug that in there because we always do these shameless plugs because we need more listeners. Everybody wants more listeners, so tell them where they can find you at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Coffee with Kendra. Everything spelled correctly all together. No underscores. Coffee with Kendra. I drop an episode every Friday most of the time. I'm live every Saturday, and I just started this new thing where I do like coffee dates in the morning, where I'll bring somebody on. They'll have coffee with me, and I'll be having coffee by myself. I'm also on YouTube. I'm working on creating more exclusive content for YouTube. So I'm on YouTube at Coffee with Kendra too. So
Okay, so you got a
oh,
lot go.
and then Grown Man Logic. I can't forget, right?
Grown man.
And you can also catch me on Grown Man Logic every Monday and Thursdays for now at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so something I do with everybody, I give them a quick testimony on who they are. So and when I say who you are, it's not what you're wearing or who you or what you think you are right now in this moment. But think about this: you're an influencer. There's somebody that's sitting in Tallahassee. There's someone that's sitting in Topeka, Kansas. There's a lady sitting in Olympia, Washington, that listens to your podcast. And I'm telling you that you'll see it. You can look at your numbers if you ever do decide to look at the analytics. And they went through something. And when you said the right thing to them, because I've already mentioned to you the episode, because I go through your catalog and I listen to everything, and everything's gonna be good to a point, but everybody has a gem inside their podcast. So you drop gems, and that's a hard thing to do because a lot of people get out here. A lot of people get out here and they're very trendy, and you got the whole crowd, which you it's like you in the mall and the whole cruise, which you just
Yeah.
and it comes a point when you stop and you go to the food court and you get something to eat. That's when you become human, when you're outside the crowd, and you stay human inside the crowd. That's not something that a lot of people do.
Wow.
Those type of characteristics, when you have these things, it's hard to fathom them. It's hard to like put a grip on it or like close the lid on it and contain it. So great thing about you with all these outlets you got, you just throw it out there and project it to everybody. So you are a great projector in this
Thank you.
business.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This is something that you have to keep doing. When you get tired, you know your limits, you know what you need to do. So to the man that's out there on the corner in Newport News, Virginia, and I like to just name random places, or the guy that's out there in New York City right now that's got your podcast on his AirPods, he might be getting robbed, but he's still listening. Just as a joke. The thing is, you gotta stick with this, stay with this, because being an influencer is more than just the word influence. Like, you aspire people. You take time with what you do. You got a craft to it. Even though it may seem mindless to you sometimes, it's mindful to some people. So always keep that with you, okay?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
Oh yeah, always. So the last question. This is the toughest question on earth.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, dun dun dun. I don't have no sound effects, so that was cool. All right, so it's June 10th. When you hit your 1 year mark, what is the next thing for Coffee with Kendra? What are your next ventures? What is the next thing after this? Because always remember this, in advertising and stuff, everybody has an awesome pitch. I'm going to be a podcaster. I'm going to do this. But only 22.32% have a follow-up to their pitch. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what happens after. And you only have to have A and B, because C is going to come to fruition from A and B. So what's the future look like for you?
Okay, so you said June 10th, but my anniversary is actually December 31st.
Right, I know that, but I'm saying it's June 10th today. We're going to put a year on that. So you're December 31st in.
Oh, Lord, I didn't know today was June 10th. Okay, Lord Jesus, wow. Okay. I'll be in my own little bubble. Okay, I got you. Okay, so what after Coffee with Kendra is what you're asking, right?
Yeah, what's next?
So what's next is actually something that I'm working on right now as we speak. So something that I started becoming more and more passionate about through podcasting and having conversation with men and women, especially Black men and women, is I've become passionate about making us better as a community. And so what I've decided to do that I'm working on now is I'm actually working on starting monthly seminars, and anybody can come, but they are especially for my Black people. Like, so I have my first seminar coming up. I don't have a release date yet, but I'm working on it now, about money management. So every month I'll be hosting a seminar with an expert in whatever it is that I think that we could benefit from. And I'm going to be doing that every month. And this is my way of contributing to making the Black community better, because it's one thing to get on my page and to get on Grown Man Logic and say, we need to do better. But then I'm like, well, I have this, I have this platform. It doesn't matter if it's only two people, and that's two people I could possibly reach. I want to use it actually to be that person that I'm talking about. If I can use my platform to make us better, then that's what I was thinking. How can I do that? And this is my solution. This is how I can help the Black community be better.
And that's a great thing there, because we need empowerment. And like you said, there's so many people that put up this facade that are like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. And you hear it, and they people always want to take pictures of when they're doing something good, but then you don't really see any fruition. You don't see nothing behind it. So I respect that and I appreciate that, because we need that in the community, no doubt. Now,
thank you.
So that's everything on this show, and I want to thank you so much for coming on. We do these things, and let me give this quick little story. Everybody meets so quickly, and this is crazy because I had you scheduled out. Eric jumped in there. We did a live session. Dewan, I don't know, because his schedule is weird, because I always see him in a suit and tie and stuff, and everybody else looks relaxed and happy. But his shit should be looking tight on him, and he just looked like he's upset and he needs to get that tie off. I need to catch him sometime when he ain't got that tie on. So when he don't have a tie on, you tell him to hit me up, and we'll run a quick one with him.
I'll get you scheduled.
Yeah, so we'll get the whole crew scheduled in. So another thing too, with everybody that's involved in the podcast community, I want to say this about your group. Your group is very understanding. Y'all are very upfront. Y'all do fun things. Y'all do serious things. That's something that's missing in the community, because a lot of times we have comedians, we have entertainers, then we have the true speakers, those Kendra Lamars, those J. Coles, and then you have them Soldier Boys, and you have them Bow Wows. So the thing is, like, what y'all doing, y'all keep doing what y'all doing and keep that positivity. So on that note, we're gonna sign off. And once again, thank you for joining me, Kendra. That's Coffee with Kendra podcast.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
All right, thank you.